Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new video today to basically, obviously your weekly Formula 1 news roundup, which is going to be a new series every week on a Thursday. Now, obviously, today and in this week's news, obviously we're going to be discussing about Fernando Alonso's return to Formula 1, the potential of Sebastian Vettel off to Red Bull Racing, George Russell going to have to take a new power unit for this weekend's Styrian Grand Prix, or Austrian Grand Prix Part 2. And finally, the Portuguese Grand Prix will be returning probably in 2020. So, let's start with the most breaking news of the week. Fernando Alonso's return to Formula 1. Now, obviously, a high-valued source was leaking the news basically on Tuesday evening, saying that Renault will confirm their new driver lineup on the Wednesday. And sure enough, that did come true. And sure enough, Fernando Alonso has rejoined Formula 1 and has rejoined with the Renault team, which has given him 2 championships, many wins. I'm not too sure how many wins it's given him been at Renault, but basically this is where Fernando Alonso made his name with the Renault Enstone-based team. And yeah, overall, Fernando Alonso has got a long-standing history with Renault. I think he joined in 2002 with Renault, and he stayed there all the way till the end of 2006, and won 2 championships back-to-back with them. Then he went off to McLaren for his first stint at McLaren. Then, that didn't work out, so he rejoined back at Renault in 2008 until the end of 2009 or 2009. That didn't really work out there either, and then he went off to Ferrari. Then after Ferrari, he went back to McLaren for a second stint at McLaren. And then, obviously, in that final year at McLaren, McLaren did have Renault-powered engines. So, has this been in the pipeline for quite some time? Honestly, we don't know how long Renault have been planning to bring back Alonso for. But Alonso is back. He will be the new driver for them in 2021. Okay, he will be taking Daniel Ricciardo's seat alongside Esteban Ocon. And yeah, overall, personally, I've got a bit of a mixed bag of emotions here. On one hand, I'm delighted to see Fernando Alonso back. He's one of them characters I think everyone loves. But on another hand, I'm just, thinking to myself, is this right for Alonso? Is it right for Renault? There's no doubt Alonso can be a divisive character. We've seen it at Ferrari, we've seen it at McLaren, we've seen it at Renault before and during his last spell in Formula 1. I do hope, personally, he'll be less divisive this time. A little bit less, playing the political games and be a bit more focused on the driving side of things and the car development side of things, rather than going down the team radio, GP2 engine, GP2. I think that was a very childish, arrogant Fernando Alonso. I hope that Alonso has gone, and I hope the Alonso from them 2006 days will return, because I think that's the Alonso we all love. We all love the Alonso that was mega fast, that would basically overtake Michael Schumacher at 130R, That was the Alonso we all truly loved. Not the Alonso that would go GP2 engine, Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure we all found it humorous, but it was arrogance as well. And yeah, okay, I get Honda were under-delivering, but it wasn't just Honda, it was also McLaren. And you can't just point the finger at one party and say, oh, you are the fault, why we're so bad. Because in 2018, actually, we did see, no, McLaren had Renault-powered cars, but was still at the back of the grid. And it was Alonso dragging that car further up the grid. So, overall, I think, with Alonso returning, I'm excited on one hand because, he is going to a decent team that can do stuff, that does have facilities for World Championship winning car. We've seen it in the past. But, at the same time, I'm also a bit apprehensive because I just don't want to see him come back, be the same old Alonso, and make Formula 1 a bit miserable, because I think, you know, he did make it a bit miserable. Yeah, he's a bit of entertainment, but it was also a bit miserable. Now moving on to the next topic of today, the Portuguese Grand Prix does look to be confirmed by probably the end of next week. They're going to confirm this Grand Prix to be added to the Formula 1 2020 race calendar. And yeah, overall, Portuguese Grand Prix, quite a historic actual venue, Estoril is, because, you know, it's somewhere actually Formula 1 cars used to go to a lot, actually. The last time Formula 1 race there was back in 1996. And yeah, you know, obviously Formula 1 making its return to Estoril, to the Portuguese Grand Prix, would be a pretty decent venue, I think, to hold a Formula 1 race, actually. Obviously, it's in Europe. By the looks of it, majority, if not all races this year, will be held in Europe. But overall, I think Estoril would be pretty nice. And I think, you know, it'd be good for Formula 1 to go back to Portugal, to such a classic historical venue overall. I think Formula 1 could really do with that, you know, going back to and revisiting some of those more classic venues this year. It would benefit from it, because a lot of them, actually, the classic or the more older venues do have actually a FIA Grade 1 super license to hold, obviously, a Formula 1 Grand Prix, yet a lot of them don't. For instance, let me just give you an example. You got Brands Hatch, that could even hold a Formula 1 Grand Prix if needed. Now moving on to the next topic quickly today, and yes, Helmut Marko may have been ordered by Deschmark, I think it's Deschmark, not sure how to pronounce his name, but, you know, either way, has been ordered by according to one source, by the Red Bull boss, owner, to re-sign Sebastian Vettel. Now, that is pretty big, because Vettel has said he would not go to a team lower down the grid. Is this lower down the grid, going back to Red Bull? A little bit in a way, yes, but it's more of a sideways step rather than a down the grid step, because Red Bull do have a good car. They've got a good driver in Max Verstappen, so therefore the car should be good. They've got Adrian Newey, therefore someone who can really probably pull some strings. And they've got still Christian Horner as the team boss. Basically, that Red Bull team, since Vettel left, has really not really changed. It's still the same the same team since his departure from 2014, you know. And Vettel going back to Red Bull, would it be a good move for Vettel? Absolutely, I think it would. Would it be a good move for Red Bull? Yes, because they would have a driver who could, well, be very close to Verstappen, if not match Verstappen, and be there on the races maybe Verstappen isn't quite there. You know, so overall, I think this would be a very, very good signing for Red Bull. Does Red Bull though want to do it? Well, if the Red Bull owner, the main boss of Red Bull, has said re-sign, you know, Sebastian Vettel, well then yes. Does Vettel though want to do it? That's the bit I'm questioning. Does Vettel want to go back to Red Bull, where it all started, just like Alonso has done, you know, and basically go back to that Red Bull powered team? I think it'd be an intriguing move if it does happen, and I would be 100% behind it. Finally, moving on to the final story this weekend, and George Russell is set to take a new power unit for this weekend's Styrian, not Austrian, Styrian Grand Prix. Now, it is technically the Austrian Grand Prix, just a different name or title-sponsored name. However, George Russell will take a new power unit, but that's a bit of a concern because, you know what? Mercedes are looking very, very fragile in terms of power unit reliability for whatever reason. I honestly don't know. And, you know, overall, you know, the two Mercedes cars were ordered to stay off the curbs, and George Russell is having to take a new power unit. One power Racing Point had to retire due to reliability issues. So it does appear Mercedes, whilst they've got a very quick car and maybe probably the best engine on the grid now, once again, however, it does appear and despite this, it does appear that they've paid a cost of reliability to get that. that best engine and to get that best car. They've paid a cost of reliability, and that could hurt them this weekend. And not only will Williams be worried about, you know, taking grid penalties further down the pipeline, maybe towards the end of the championship or midway in the championship, but it does sort of now ring alarm bells as well to those back at Brackley and back at basically where they build all the Mercedes engines. It will be ringing alarm bells that actually our reliability issues from pre-season have not gone away, and we haven't fixed those issues, and actually we could be in real trouble here if we don't fix them, because actually we're on the brink of taking grid penalties and maybe cars not even finishing the races. So yeah, you know, it's a lot to digest, but yeah, thank you for watching though. Until the next time, please subscribe, like and share this video. Have a great day.